The nays are 210. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
The U.S. House of Representatives voted on Tuesday to oust Speaker Kevin McCarthy from his job, as infighting among his fellow Republicans plunged Congress into further chaos just days after it narrowly averted a government shutdown. The 216 to 210 vote marked the first time in history that the House removed its leader. Driven by a relatively small group of right-wing Republicans, no clear successor has emerged. The rebellion was led by the Representative Matt Gaetz, a far-right Republican from Florida, and McCarthy antagonist who accused the party leader of not doing enough to cut federal spending. It was the last moment of high drama in a year that has seen the Republican-controlled House bring Washington to the brink of default and the edge of a partial government shutdown. McCarthy's party controls the chamber by a narrow 221 to 212 majority, meaning that it can afford to lose no more than 5 votes if Democrats unite in opposition. In debate on the House floor, Gaetz and a handful of allies criticized McCarthy for relying on Democratic votes to pass temporary funding that headed off a partial government shutdown. McCarthy's supporters, including some of the chamber's most vocal conservatives, said he has successfully limited spending and advanced other conservative priorities, even though Democrats control the White House and the Senate. They warned their gains would be at risk if they removed their leader.
How many of us came here because we thought this job was going to be easy? How many of us thought the task ahead of us to address the problems of this country was going to be easy? One thing we did know is that if we were going to finally start confronting problems that had been ignored for years and years and years, we had to change the way that this place worked. And one thing Speaker McCarthy embraced from day one is to start making those kind of changes to this institution, opening up the process, allowing members to be more engaged, having amendments come to the floor, single subject bills, doing appropriations bills. Yes, making that happen overnight is not something that happens automatically, but it started to happen, and we are now seeing the fruits of it. Just last week,
Gaetz was one of more than a dozen Republicans who repeatedly voted against McCarthy's bid for Speaker in January. McCarthy ultimately secured the gavel after 15 rounds of voting. In order to win the job, McCarthy agreed to rules that made it easier to challenge his leadership. McCarthy supporters have said Gaetz was motivated by a hunger of publicity, a chance to win higher office, or resentment over an ongoing ethics probe into possible sexual misconduct and illicit drug use. Gaetz, who has denied wrongdoing and said he is not motivated by a dislike of McCarthy.
Mr. Speaker, my friend from Oklahoma says that my colleagues and I who don't support Kevin McCarthy would plunge the House and the country into chaos. Chaos is Speaker McCarthy. Chaos is somebody who we cannot trust with their word. The one thing that the White House, House Democrats, and many of us on the conservative side of the Republican caucus would argue is that the thing we have in common, Kevin McCarthy said something to all of us at one point or another that he didn't really mean and never intended to live up to.
Democrats said they would not help Republicans resolve their own problems. They broadly view McCarthy as untrustworthy after he broke an agreement on spending with Democratic President Joe Biden and are angered by his decision to greenlight an impeachment investigation of the president.